home once construction of the Stacy Waller Pavilion was completed.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced courtesy of Mr. Charles Lindbergh Eden, The History of Agriculture, 50th Annual Agriculture Show magazine.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk Today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome. Thank you very, very much for joining us again today for another promising and productive edition of Talk Today, as we invite you to share with us some open line at outset 1 p.m. Mr. Wes Hubble from the Elections Office will join us. I hope you had a chance to listen earlier as he was on with Kathy on the buzz. If you haven't, go back to our YouTube and listen. We'll share with you. Maybe we'll get another perspective. It's sufficiently important enough that it's worth repetition. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard. And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome back. And as we look at a couple of the quick messages coming through on our systems, we invite you to share with us. Open line until 1 p.m. At 1 o'clock. Mr. Wesley Howell, the Supervisor of Elections. No matter what other hats he may wear, this is the one until our elections have been certified. He and his team at the Elections Office are diligently preparing, as are many of the MPs and other, not just the incumbents, but also maybe prospective candidates trying to drive voters to get registered. So we'll talk about that process and maybe some other things as well. Hopefully anything relative to the elections, whether under the law or the Constitution or just queries in general, we'll be able to ask and have answered. But between now and then, we can talk about anything else you wish. Set the stage for that discussion if you like, as you choose. 949-8837, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp call 925-3261. I don't know, man. I had a friend said, wait a minute, this is 2025? It was just yesterday that we were thinking of 2023. Well, with all that is unfolding, you have to question whether or not is it 2020 hopefully not. So as we plan and prepare, hopefully we're pensive and positive, but we're going to be prayerful and purposeful to ensure that as a people we are positioning ourselves to make as informed and as hopefully inclusive and sometimes exhaustive impact as we can, that ensures others are uplifted, nurtured, not just promoted and protected, but are given a sense that their presence is valued, that they are not only wanted and welcome, but importantly, that they have much to contribute. I said that I shared that in an earlier discussion, it wasn't even 9 a.m. yet, already, like that ad that we saw for the U.S. Marines, we do more by 9 a.m. than most people do all day. Sometimes it feels that way for some of us, not just because we're up, as they say, at the crack of dawn. Some of us up early, and not even know when, the sun is not up yet until 7, or even the height of summer when it may be, not just quite 5 and it's light out. So, when we must find a way that giving the allocated hours to all of us equally, how do we make it, that much more productive? Not only, and that's thankfully, as measured by many in terms of how much money that they make, but by how much they actually meaningfully contribute. So maybe this year, some of us need to be a little bit more positive. Some of us actually maybe need to step back and appreciate that we need to take time to enjoy and celebrate not only our successes, but the fact that we are here. Maybe it's, as a friend reminded me a few times, we actually will, see the sunset, but do we actually watch the sun set? The green flash may be in your mind a myth, but if you've seen it, and seen it more than once or twice or 3 times, perhaps it's not a myth after all. But what it reminds us is that we have to be conscious in a moment. We have to be willing to sit and reflect, but sometimes sit and actively engage, observe. And in so doing, we got to be, hopefully, not just critical, but constructive. And if it's a critical inquiry, it's not malicious, it's not intended to find fault, but as we critique, we are looking to improve. So, take a moment, and if you're a pessimist, or you may not be in your mind neither that nor optimistic, you're just in your mind a realist. Well, how does that define for you? Share with us. Challenge what is before you, champion what you like, question what you don't know, maybe interrogate what you do. And let's think as we talk. Let's go through this talk. Well, let's sit and reason. So 949-8037, 949-6990. WhatsApp call if you choose, 925-3261. You can use the toll-free line if you want, 1-800-534-TALK. That's 1-800-534-8255. And as we go into the break, quick thanks to our friends over at Sweet and Savory. They're offering up to our listeners. If you say you heard it on Radio Cayman on Talk Today in particular, you get a 10% off this week. We want to encourage and nurture the entrepreneurial spirit. We are told, not just borne out by the excellent work of the DCI and the like, but governments through its machinery and incentives trying to ensure that small businesses are not only have an opportunity to survive, but to get started, whether through reduced fees and as much as possible, help with navigating the bureaucracies, but to have people with a vision and a passion and a desire and a dream and all those things, help them to realize that. Well, the Sam Sheen over at Sweet and Savory, hey, we wish you the best of it. Let's support them as we support all of our other, businesses. It's not just about shopping local. It's about making sure that the economy provides not just employment, for others, but through that investment, there's a healthy return. It then helps the government through the revenue that are derived from businesses, and whether you want to call it fees or duties, but that revenue stream, direct or indirect, that the government get through, what would be in most jurisdictions called taxes, able to raise requisite revenues for the programs that it wants, without necessarily having to just borrow or increase those taxes and fees. So the more that the economy is robust, very successful one because of its businesses, maybe the more that we have people employed, the more that they are paid and have disposable income that they can buy goods and services. The economists talk about the multiplier effect, whether we know what that is in the Cayman context, whether we actually understand how much of the funds are, taken from the economy. Well, I have some surplus circles here. We'll take the next call right after this first break, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
CUC reminds you that you can pay your electrical bill online. Go to www.cuc-cayman.com and click on the Quick Pay tab. No sign-up required. It's as easy as flicking a switch.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. It is open line and we'll go straight to this caller. Welcome, thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Lord Sterling.
And to you, my good friend, how are you today?
Oh, no, but I was thinking, I can remember a bit of medical evidence that was provided to me concerning music. Music, depending on the type, can, I've been made to understand, can help to lower your blood pressure.
Music.
Yeah, and it can do good things for you, good soft music, good soul, and that sort of thing. But no, look at the other side of life now, politics now. Now, that's one reason when I was very, very young boy, I loved the politics. But, boy, when I see what it has become, when I see what it has become and the way that people look at it, you look at things in an honorable way, you look at it, in a way that, as being a celebrity, you look at it in a positive way instead of rowing and fussing and fighting and stuff like that. That's no good for your health. And in my opinion, we need to define it very clearly, and that sort of thing to the public and people who want to get involved in politics, because you can't make it consume you and make you miserable for the rest of your life, and you see what I'm saying? I mean, no, like I said, when I was younger, in my 20s, I got involved in politics, and to some extent, majority of the time, I regretted getting involved in that. But now my music, when I sing and I get the joy from singing, like Mr. Dalmeen, he got his good music on the radio. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wanted to and maybe listening to what you're sharing there, get you, if you're willing, to kind of tell us more of your perception of politics first, and then I'll kind of, depending on how time you feel like it. But what is your take on politics? I mean, you're saying it's very argumentative now, and it divides us, and it seems to be confrontational. That's what I'm gathering you're saying, right?
Okay, I'll tell you what I loved about it. What I loved about it.
Yeah.
When I used to hear people like the Honorable Truman Barton and Mr. Dalmeen and the way that they looked at it, the Honorable Thomas Jefferson and quite a few, the way that they looked at things in such an honorable way, and they never looked at it and it wasn't anything disrespectful and fussing and fighting and carrying on and it was so honorable. I love that, looking up to the older gentleman as a young little boy. And today I don't like it the way that I used to. So I decided, I always loved music from the time I was very young, and I said, well, I'd love to be a singer. I'd love to, record my music and just sit back and be happy.
Right.
It makes me happy,
No, it does indeed. And as I listen to you, I'm cognizant, you were saying how Mr. Dalmeen, so I want to talk about that music, but with the political landscape as you've seen it, what do you think has happened? Why do you think the perception you have now is what it is, and if it is as accurate as it probably is, why do you think the politics has become so horrible? My word, not yours, right? As it has become, probably not just in Cayman, but maybe globally, but why do you think that is?
It has become ill-defined by some people. They looked at it. Some of them look at it in the wrong way. It should be to be employed by the people to having that opportunity to help. Where you can fix problems. You can make the lives of people better.
Yeah. So I might infer from what you're sharing that people see it as either what they can get from it, the power, the pay, the position, the prestige, all that sort of thing, as opposed to what they can do by being politically elected, appointed, part of that policy initiatives, what they can do for the country, not just people, but for the country. Is that, without putting words in your mouth, is that an accurate sort of interpretation of what you're saying?
Well, in quite a few different ways, I always believe, I like to talk on the radio about the homeless and trying to help the homeless and help in different ways. Well, those are some of the things I wanted to do when I got involved in politics. I wanted to help with the people that use a little drugs, give them a little freedom when it concern not going to jail for smoking weed, and those are some of the little things that I wanted to do. I didn't express myself, but at least fullest, I decided to just jump out of it, and it wasn't for the money. I would even work for half of the pay, you know.
All right. Let's take that last part, because there have been many, including myself, who at some point, maybe in our younger years, maybe when we are probably naive, as defined by some, perhaps in our endeavor to be noble, we're naive. Maybe we're so altruistic, we're thinking, oh, I'll do it for free, and I'll go in there, and we hear stories of, well, the restaurant, they did it for nothing, right? Well, did they? So is it then that if the politician, one of the messages that I was looking at while you were chatting, I should go back to it now, but I just took my glasses off and I got to fight to put them back on. I think it was Mayor Bloomberg that they were referring to, and asked the question, and for anybody who's listening, you can confirm it. I mean, neither here nor there, but as mayor of New York, he accepted the pay at $1. Now, if that is true, well, I think he got a couple of dollars under his name, right? So maybe the pay wasn't important to him. But is it that we who would do it for, like you said, half the pay or none at all, are we stupid in doing that? Let me ask that first. What do you think?
No, I wouldn't say that. It would appear that someone would be. It would appear stupid by some when you look at the calculations and how it is surviving otherwise.
Right. Good point.
When you look at it from the honorable standpoint now, and you're saying, well, I mean, it's like doing something, a little politics on the radio, and you're speaking. I mean, sometimes I speak a little political, but I don't get $1.
Yeah, you're just putting forward your opinion, what you're thinking about what's happening, right?
Yeah.
But then by the same token, we hear a similar argument being made for the pay we pay certain people in the public service in particular. And I'm assuming they would probably, and I'm drawing from what one caller said earlier, in that if you pay people, this was the inference from what he shared, right? You know, you got people at particular places of employment and they're being paid, you know, on the lower end. They might be more susceptible to turn a blind eye to certain things, to being bribed. So the argument is that if we pay people, you know, insufficient amount, then that might lead to corruption. They might be bribed. They might be easily led astray because of the money. Argument that we want to pay politicians good so that they're not so open to those things. If it's okay with you, venture a guess. I mean, do we then say that in order to get good, honorable people with ethics and integrity and honesty and all these things, we need to have them wealthy, we need to have them paid handsomely?
Well, I believe in looking at it from the angle as well. I mean, there's more than one way to look at it. I mean, it's not just one correct way.
I agree with you. I like your perspective, yeah.
Yeah, the way that some other analysts look at it, and they would say, well, you're being paid so much, and I mean, I don't like to criticize what they're being paid.
Yeah, because if I hear you, and that argument is being put forward by some, I have to then question, well, are you then saying that just because somebody is not as wealthy as somebody else, because that lack of wealth, financial wealth, that would now necessarily mean that that person lacks, you know, these values and virtues, and I'll be the first to defend and say, no, money can't buy a class, and just because you got money doesn't mean that you're anybody or you're not corrupted or corruptible, right? I think it's the morals and the integrity that you have, that personal ethos and ethics that you possess, right?
That's one thing I like about you, you know. And when you hear me call you Lord Sterling, it's because, I mean, you're number one. And even from the political angle and the history surrounding Lord Sterling, when they really look into it, if they get the knowledge, they would know. They would say to themselves, you know, he's a brilliant man, you know.
Well,
and not many people can match him either.
I thank you for sharing it. Because of our friendship and what you share, I won't openly and publicly, how do I put it, tell you not to say that. I hear your heart, and because I find that what I do for people in terms of looking for the positive and sincerely complimenting the thing that I see, that I think is a good thing, whether others see it or not, I need to recognize that, like people, like others, I myself don't like when people say nice things. You go, oh, hush talking foolishness. What do you want now? We need to get over it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, so
but
only because it's you.
It's good to accept it.
Yes, and I hear your heart, man.
But I know the position you're in.
Yeah, man.
But it's good that the service that you're doing is good. And personally, I believe that you should be getting one of the MDs sometime in the future myself.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think back to 3 people, 2 wonderful ladies, just remarkable ladies, 10 years apart, said the same thing, and a very, very good friend. We did school together, and he used to call me sir. That's like I used to say Lord, he would say sir, and he said it with the same love, and I didn't understand what he was saying in our late teens, what these 2 ladies were saying when I was no longer in my teens. And we need to recognize that people see something in you that maybe we need to see in ourselves, right? And thank you for that. But I seek neither of those things. But thank you.
But the thing is, I don't want to say too much about it. But then again, you got to recognize the truth. You put a lot of people beside you, and you will see. They will see who is who.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, not in a competitive way, but you'll see the expression and knowledge and wisdom and all that. But back to the music now.
Yes.
If you don't mind, I love the idea of being as a young guy too. I don't know if you want to look at it as an interview right now, but I love the idea of being a little star, because not being popular and stuff like that, and that sort of thing. As a young kid, the kid dreams of being a star. He wants to be a little movie star. He wants to be a famous singer, and
football player.
Football player, I played football too.
Yeah, man.
The dreams of a lot of young Caymanians, and they dream big, and that's the thing.
Well, thank you for that, because we need to encourage our people to dream, not those pie in the sky kind of, but the creativity and the imagination, the belief that hard work and opportunity presents itself, and you persevere, you're persistent, but you ought to also be supported and nurtured, right? So maybe we're killing the dreams of our people deliberately as parents and as teachers. So thank you for having your dream, and for seeking it out, man, because it encourages.
And Lord Sterling, sorry to interrupt.
No, sir, go ahead, sir.
A part of my history too involves Mr. Dalmeen,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Dalmeen, he taught me, he was teaching me boxing and that sort of thing. And I think we need to keep in mind too, and remember the good works of Mr. Dalmeen. Ebanks, he was a great man.
Yes.
And he helped Charles to get to you just look at Cayman being on the map, look at the great Caymanians.
He believed in people, man.
Yeah, I'd like to big up my Caymanians and great Caymanians, and every day we listen to Lord Sterling, boy.
No, man, but as you mentioned, Mr. Dalmeen, it's hard for me, to just even call his name without getting a little bit kind of. He and my father were very close, and they would box on the ship, and he would be the corner man, and my dad would be in the ring, and the stories that they would tell. Sometimes I thought, man, these 2 guys are just exaggerating, and I would see them cross each other, and they had a little hand signal that they would exchange, and it was amazing. And two people who in later years probably never spent as much time as they could have and should have. But any day, whether it was every day or whether it was a month or a longer time in between, they could pick up where they left off. And that level of friendship transcends any and everything. And so that, I mean, I say he's a great man, but yeah, he was a great man. He influenced many of us. He reminded us of what was important. And, you know, that tall, imposing figure was as gentle, you know, as a baby smile, man. A word that is without any raised tone could be as encouraging and man, just a great man to see.
And something I mean, they had. I like to talk about the older politicians.
Yeah, man.
And I can remember there was an event at the Harkwell where Mr. McEwan and Kurt Tibbetts was singing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Mr. Tibbetts was singing the song "I Did It My Way."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, boy, I tell you, man, I was really inspired. I looked up at him and I said, boy,
man.
You know, and it just inspired me, and not to be too political, but then again, I think we need to not forget the goodness from our local politicians and the good history, all the good we can.
Yeah, man.
Look at it all in a negative way. You know?
Listen to our people. Bo, let's take a pause, all right? And you keep up the good work. Keep dreaming, keep believing, keep persevering, and never lose hope and faith, man. We're going to pause, my friend. When we come back, more talk today.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Be part of the 2025 Chamber Economic Forum on Friday, 17th of January at the Kimpton Seafire. Join world-renowned economists Marla Ducaran, government leaders, and business experts as we explore the future of Cayman's economy. From workforce innovation to tourism sustainability, this is where bold ideas turn into action. Celebrate progress and 60 years of the Chamber's leadership and service to our community. Sponsored by CUC, DART, Health City Cayman Islands, and the Ministry of Tourism and Ports. Register now at caymanchamber.ky. Don't miss it.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Parents of teens will learn strategies to prevent risky behaviors, encourage healthy development, and positive behaviors through the Parenting Teens program. Starting January 14th at 12 to 1 p.m. on Zoom, parents can expect to see an increase in a positive parent-child relationship when strategies are applied at home. Contact Family Resource Center at frc@gov.ky to reserve your spot for this free program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. And as we head up to the headlines of one, let's take this next call. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Hey, how have you been? Been a day without you is like a year without sun.
Not too hot right now there. Not too hot, but glad to be alive.
Okay, well, it'll get better for you as the day unfolds. All right.
I pray.
You got your children to look forward to in a couple hours, so it's going to be good.
Definitely. Yeah, it takes a little bit of it off, but it comes right back on by the time you leave them or whatever.
But you leave them knowing that there's somebody who loves them, so that's good.
Yeah. Sterling, I know that your shows are very important. I was there in a talk show. Shows are important, and all calls are important, and everybody has their own opinion on whatever individual may say or think or do. And me, for one, I would never want to use your platform for tat for tat and butter for fish. I am too old for that, and I have a lot of respect coming across the board for anybody that deserve respect and would accept my respect in the most high level. But to say this, Sterling, you guys been air for some time now, and you know we call every year in and year out. And some people have Cayman at heart, some doesn't have Cayman at heart. And when I say that don't have Cayman at heart, people always saying that Caymanians don't pull together, and Caymanians are the biggest enemy, and Caymanians doesn't want to work, and Caymanians doesn't want to see anybody with anything. I'm not in those categories. See where I'm coming from?
Many of us aren't, but we allow people to say it, and we ourselves repeat it.
Yes.
And castigate those who defend it and say, wait a minute, if you're not like that, then why are you allowing it? And if you are like that, exactly.
Yes. Yes. If you're not like it, try to show a better picture for your country and your people. And, it's very few of us left. And if we haven't come together yet, it only God can bring us together, as far as I'm concerned, because it's not mankind, and it's not a human being or say, well, I'm a human and she's a human, he's a human and she's a human. I got to respect as I go along, regardless of it maybe could be going through a funeral door or a jail door. You must respect as you go along, And we have very little out here in this island from our own Caymanian. And when we got to disrespect some of our individuals when there was no cause in disrespect, I would say even the disrespect the modesty of a woman.
Yeah.
See where I'm coming from?
Yeah. And had you not said that, I was just inclined to share that, there are two country songs I think we often want to sing. One is, when you run down my countryman, you're walking on the fighting side of me. We sing that. But here's another one that perhaps should resonate with us. That one that says, if we never meet this side, heaven, I'll leave this world loving you. And if we have that agape love one for another, if we are prepared to give in our personal relationships, whether it's the spouse, whether it's the friend, whether it's the sibling, whether it's the child, as we would in our work, in our effort, give our utmost. Each gives his or her all, as much as often, always if possible. There'll be no want, right? There'll be no need that can't be satisfied, right? And that's the problem. We're selfish and self-centered and self-serving, self-absorbed. And we don't want to grab people, put them aside, sit them down and say, shut up and listen. Or if we even voice that, oh, you are inflammatory, you are this. Some people don't listen because their mouth and lips are constantly moving. And they can't hear nothing.
They don't want to hear nothing.
And they don't want to hear nothing.
Yeah.
And anyway, that might be a talk for another day.
Yeah. But you see, when we say that man is a lazy and the people come here and work and send their money home to maintain their families.
Yeah.
I rather hear a Cayman and say within a Cayman that they're lazy, but I do not want to hear a expat or a work permit holder saying that we are lazy. Because they are sending their money home to take care of their family. That's their business. They come here and work honestly for it. They do what they want to do with it. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And I say just how they can go out and work and make less than what they want to make. They are quite satisfied and they can still send a piece of it home to their family. But we, that is right here on island, we just, I don't know what is right now, but we just can't seem to be thankful and grateful and uplift someone and say, oh my God, he went to work today, he put 40 hours into the month. That is good. He may not get the salary he wants, but he got something.
Well, the reward isn't always a paycheck, right? I'm going to be mindful of time and respectful to ask, But let me say it this way as we go to the news. One, we've either said or we've heard it said. Quoting John F. Kennedy when he said, ask not what you can do for your country, right? Is that what we said? But what your country can do for you? That's how people interpret it, right? Instead of recognizing that what he actually said was, you need to do something for your country, right? And that country isn't just your, physical, geographical. In my mind, it's your immediate family, your community. And if we take the micro as well as the macro perspective, but in so doing, maybe we need to literally look in the mirror and then look at that person reflected back at us and ask, can that person be better? Can that person give more, do more? Not for self-praise and aggrandizement, not for some public acknowledgement or accolade or award, but simply because in so doing, right? Think about it. Yesteryear, our homes and communities were clean because people took pride in how they dressed, right? The yards were maintained. Their children, when there was problem, no running water, electricity, were at least bathed and clean and civil and respectful and respectable. Today we got yaga, as Miss Lucy talks about, running about the place, and we celebrate that. Anyway, you can't, as Mr. Bill say, jump into a septic tank and expect to come out smelling like a rose. Mom, we got the news, but before we go, one quick more word from you, or we talk again?
You got someone coming on?
Can you see Mr. West out there? More than likely, he's probably been there the last 15 minutes. So we've scheduled the election office. So yes, Mom.
Yeah, go and take care of him and we'll catch up.
Catch up. Well, he was here this morning with Kathy and the Buzz, so people can go back and hear that. And, through the Department of Commerce, well, we'll get him when he comes. Hopefully I got it correct. Let's do the news. Thank you for that. When we come back, we're going to be here. We invite you to do the same.
We are Radio Cayman,
covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
Wayne Belafonte Jr. received a life sentence with a minimum term of 35 years following his 2024 conviction for the murders of Mark Andre Ebanks and Eldon Charles Watson. He was also convicted and sentenced for attempted murder and possession of an illegal firearm. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere. Wildfires are raging in several areas of Los Angeles, with high winds and extremely dry conditions fueling their progress across thousands of acres of land. Firefighters are so far unable to contain them, with one fire official saying today that they are still rapidly expanding. The largest fire in the Pacific Palisades area, where many celebrities live, is the most destructive fire in the history of Los Angeles. More than 1,000 buildings have been destroyed. And Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said Russia is closely monitoring the situation after U.S. President-elect Donald Trump refused to rule out military action to take Greenland from Denmark. Peskov said the Arctic was in Russia's sphere of national and strategic interest, and it is interested in peace and stability there. Trump's remarks on Greenland, a largely autonomous Danish territory, have drawn a warning from European leaders. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. 949-8037, 949-6990. And to the last caller, a wonderful lady like many in our society that epitomize the strength, the character, the integrity, that commitment, the courage that they possess, that not just encourages us, but reminds us that in your small space, geographically speaking, that there are people, and when numbered, they are significant percentage who epitomize those values and virtues that are championed, that for some reason in today's world is needed more than ever. Let's go to the phones. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Lord Cerner calling back again.
Well, welcome back again, my friend. Welcome back.
I just decided that I would say this.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about the political season and hoping that it doesn't get ugly and wishing all the best to the candidates from Craig Brown.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Mr. McKeever and Mr. Kurt Tibbetts sing again, even if it's for charity. And
was that 96 or 2000 that they did that? Do you remember?
That was I remember because I got the award that night. I think it was that night for my play. 1995, I think it was.
Was it 95? Oh, I was thinking 96, but you know.
Or in the 90s, 95, 96, 97.
Yeah. Harquail, and that was a performance, you know.
No, I don't know if it was that night that I got the award, but I think so. I think so, yeah.
Man,
that was really good, man.
There was a joke that a very beloved fellow shared with us about that, and you know, for those who heard it, you know, when they're talking about the interaction with Mr. Kurt and Mr. McKeever. I don't know if I share it now, people would, you know, not take it out of context. But man, it was just fantastic how we can, you know, can say things in jest that we know are not malicious. It's just good laughter, and they become the things of urban legend. So I always think back to that. But I want to ask you something else, but you go ahead and put you off.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
You talked about you do not want to see the elections turn ugly, right? I think was what you said, right?
Yeah.
Ugly in what way? It may seem like an obvious statement, but for those who are, uninitiated, what do you mean?
I hate to see. I mean, even if you're enemies,
yeah,
you can keep something to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't talk everything and try to make the person look like dirt, man.
So maybe attack the.
We all humanians.
Yeah, but don't go after the family. Don't make up things. Don't speak too much to the. Speak to the character or the lack thereof of that candidate, their lack of competence and performance and all those things. But don't go after the family. Don't make it that personal and vindictive. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And do it in an honorable way. Show some skill, political skill, and don't tear down and try to make people look so bad and all that.
Yeah, I'll ask it publicly, not just to you, but generally. Anybody wants to be. It would. I'm glad you shared that, right? Because many people wish they had the courage to do so. But it has been said, one, that not only is it what the voters come to expect, this is entertainment, right? They want to hear all the dirt. They want to hear, what the skeletons are, and they want to get into this, right? This mudslinging. And secondly, that is now not only what the voters, the populace expect, but in order for you to win, you now need to do that. You need to get down in the mud and you need to get rid of the rumble in order to beat up your opponent, because that's the way the system works. What do you say to those two allegations, those two things that people say, well, that's the way the game is played?
No, I don't like that. I like the honorable, I like the statesman sort of thing. And,
okay.
And, I don't like, it puts stress. I mean, everybody, they got wives, they got children, and when you talk and all that kind of dirt, making them look so bad, that puts stress on the children. It can cause mental illness and all that,
Yeah.
And little young people seeing all that, it affect their minds and all that kind of thing. It affect the wives, it affect the children. So
the parents, the siblings, the partners, everything else. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad that you said that. And I'm hoping that we, all of us, who are listening, either as candidates or their handlers, as Mr. Ezard calls them, or everybody else involved in it, would take that on the board. But we also, as the voters, would say, no, listen to me. We ask the question, what are you going to do about the cost of living? How are you going to tackle, this issue of immigration or employment or healthcare or education or whatever? Let's speak to the issues. And if we hear the person say, well, when Johnny was there, he's a no good, no use, whatever.
Yeah.
We don't tolerate that. But we got to be willing.
You're right. Yeah, the skill. I believe in the skill,
Yeah.
And I wanted to make to put my input out there. There was a few plans I had, but I never shared it,
Uh-huh.
And I would love to see the politics of Cayman, become something like celebrated and happiness and almost like getting a Grammy, the Hollywood style, and because some people believe in that too,
Right, but
and make it be fun, make it be fun and everybody enjoying themselves, because some people call politicians celebrities as well, so you can't make it look so ugly and make it look so bad and throwing paint on each other. I don't like that part. That's the part because I admire people from both sides and three sides.
Yeah, and as you shared that, I'm hoping again that people will take it on board, that they understand the importance of the need, as I've tried to inculcate into my own ethos. Let's speak to the principles and the policies as opposed to the personalities. Let's speak to the substantive issue. Let's ensure that we are moving forward. Now, in so saying, as I listen to what you're sharing, am I to infer that because we have this attempt at a party system, does that then mean that by its sheer nature, that's a very divisive thing? Is that going to lead to us now being more and more combative? We're going to do exactly the thing that you're asking us not to do, because in order to get ahead, the opposition, when you have the elected government and the acknowledged opposition, they're the government in waiting to look good in order for the voters to consider them as a viable alternative at the next go around. It's perceived that their actions have to undermine and make the government of the day look bad. So is that one of the big problems that we are now? One of the local print media, the Compost, talks about in its 10 issues, and there are some serious questions to be asked whether or not they're trying to be the tail that wags the dog and determine, dictate, and define the political landscape, as opposed to being objective and impartial, putting forward issues for us to consider as a country, as opposed to influence the electoral outcome, right? Is that part of the challenge? When it's written in one of its pieces talking about hopefully the death of the independence, the resurgence of party system in this country is probably one of the worst things next to this foolish implementation of the one person, one vote. We're too small to be divided, yet we're allowing ourselves to be. So where is the leadership to stand up and do the right thing? We don't have it in church, we don't have it in business, we don't have it in government. Do we have it in our homes?
I think they can make politics look beautiful. More, I tell you, I would love to see it looking beautiful.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, man. It stressed me out, looking at the way that they. I don't want to say it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see them having fun and making it look beautiful and
well,
and seeing Mr. McEwa and Kurt Tibbetts sing again. Boy, I would love to see them sing again, and not only them but more politicians.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, it can be
almost like a Miss K man or Mr. K man sort of thing. And
All right, well, you share some good things, and maybe our main takeaway is let's focus on the policies. Let's get away from the personal attacks. Let's keep the families, out of the discussion. Let's focus on that person who's offering him or herself and what they're bringing to the table or not bringing to the table. The competence, the integrity, right?
Yeah, like clean comedy.
Yeah, man. Okay, bro.
That would look good. Yeah.
All right. Talk to you again.
Okay.
Take care, man.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, as he said, Craig Brown, right? He asks, what do you think of what he's saying? Is he naive? Or is it now something that he's saying, listen, as the candidates, their handlers and all who are directly involved in trying to influence voters to vote a certain way, or can we focus on the issues? Is that a naive ask? Is that impossible? Or is it the expectation and norm, but we are not willing to ensure that that's the outcome? So do we like, as some have shared, as the voters, we want to hear all the dirt, man. Bring out all the nastiness about this person. Whatever's in that closet, let's expose it. And as seemingly alleged as well, that if as a candidate you don't go after your opponent or opponents in that mudslinging kind of way, well, that really isn't going to work. Is that what we want? Could we not raise the bar and speak to the issues, put forward solutions, invite greater participation, ensure that we are looking for the competence and the integrity? And are we going to allow the influence of money or the, as some would say, the lack of access to certain things if you don't play a ball with certain people, influence us to go against our personal ethics and ethos and integrity? Or is it that we don't really care, we're just mercenaries, and at the end of the day, if John pays $5 but Bill is willing to pay 100, well, we're going to be willing to sell ourselves to the highest bidder. And in so doing, are we going to castigate that individual who says, well, you know what, I could use the money, I don't mind all the good things that come, but there's a particular standard, a principle that I will not violate because it means more than money. What is it that we're going to do? Well, it could be, as some have accused others, in that endeavor to be, the best. It's not noble, it's naive. Or it could be that we're so cheap and we don't realize it, that we are, as I think we've been apt to be reminded by Mr. Roy and others, as was shared with us a few decades in the past by one of those administrators, that we will sell a birthright for a bowl of nothingness, and we'll rather destroy everything than to work together because we can't be at the helm. Well, if that's really what we are, then is there any hope for us? And if that's not what we are, then do we allow that to be repeated? And if that's what we are we prepared to change it? We talk about generational curses. Well, maybe it's time that we make that change and start it within us. Go back to reflecting in the mirror. Just because somebody stands before you in a very heated, impassioned plea, tries to acknowledge what is and admonish those who do, perhaps accepting that he or she has failed and continues to fail but wants to change, maybe we need to do that. But to pretend, that is not an issue. It's like, again, what Mr. Roy would remind us. In our personal health, if we ignore that niggling feeling, maybe one day what could have been perhaps more easily treated now leads to a very painful demise. Again, ignorance is not bliss. So, do we have a voice, and do we exercise it respectfully and responsibly? Do we have a place and a presence in a society that positions us to speak, not just with authority, but with respect? Are we respected? Are we respectful? Are we respectable? Or are we just a bag of hot air saying things that really have no meaning, but people whom have no attention and no willingness to really question? Well, it's only Thursday, my friends. We got 11 more months to go, and in a few short, it'll be nomination day for those who have either been told to stand, asked to stand, or feel led to be candidates in the upcoming election. And then on the 30th of April, God's willing, we'll freely and fairly once again go to the polls and cast our ballots in a very, hopefully, informed, engaged manner for the people that we believe would be, best positioned. Now, is that going to be because we're going to get something from it? Is it going to be because we've been heavily incentivized to do so? Or is it going to be because we've done so knowing that it's going to be best for our country? We'll see. And may I invite you to do two things. One, if you're eligible to be registered, please consider strongly getting registered. So on elections day, if you so choose before the polls close, you can go and register as a registered voter, cast your democratic right to vote. And if you're also considering, being a direct part of the electoral process, either as a candidate, helping the candidates get elected, volunteering with the elections office and going through their requisite training, or somehow assisting to ensure that this, democracy is not only promoted and protected, but preserved in a way that is presented to our people, that they are able to know with a sense of confidence the process unfolds in not only a professional way, but one that is honorable and safe. Then please, let's participate. And as Mr. Brown shared, let's see if we can make it so that what we do, not just publicly on the political platform and the campaign trail, but in the private homes and discussions, speak to the issues. Now, somebody may be a scoundrel. Well, if we so say, limit it to that person, and as Mr. Brown emphasized, and let's not castigate the others, whether parent or spouse, whether sibling or other, if they're not, that instrumental in it. Maybe they're not It's not par for the course, but we'll see. Still early days. Still a lot of growth and maturity in all of us. So 949-8037, 949-6990. You can WhatsApp call 925-32621. Or you can use the toll-free line, 1-800-534-8255. We can stick with the political discussion if you wish. You can introduce another topic. I'll give you two things to consider. The notion, as we've seen increasingly, about some of the environmental considerations, both what some shared relative to the proposed changes by government concerning the conservation legislation, and two, the alleged potential swappings of land, this for that in order to get this. Let's talk about those, as well as maybe the top issues that the country needs to address so that there's continued, stability, safety, and security. Join us after the break and tell us what you think. 949-8037 or 949-6990. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments January 6th to the 9th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Wayne Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email Dr. Porter Cayman at gmail.com. That's drportercayman@gmail.com. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. 949-8037, 949-6990. You can WhatsApp call 925-32621 or you can use the Flow toll-free line at 1-800-534-8255. As I went into the break, we'd asked if you wanted to talk about the proposed amendments to the conservation legislation or talk about the discussion some are having more publicly than others about the proposed, swapping of lands, government lands for this, whether that would be in the country's best interest. Well, you can talk about that or anything else. It is, as Mr. Brown referenced earlier, important that we are involved and informed about the political landscape, that we are hopefully willing to get registered to vote when we're eligible, that we are prepared to go out on elections day and cast our ballots, and we do so in an informed way, that we understand the importance of casting that ballot. Now, if, for instance, we are in a jurisdiction where it's difficult to get registered to vote physically, it's a distance, it's an effort, maybe we wouldn't take, as some have alleged, it's for granted so easily that here in the Cayman Islands, it's not that difficult. The elections office have extended hours. We're recognizing it's an ongoing open registration process. It may potentially or could be easier, and over time it might become so. Some would say, well, you get registered right away. Others would say, well, no, there needs to be a vetting process. We had a caller who said just the other day he is a registered voter. He has a valid voter's ID. Being who he is, known to the elections office, he goes there. This is a caller who called publicly and said this. He gets, one of his children going to get them registered, and when he gets there, he has, as the parent, been required to provide some other information. He would question, well, wait a minute, you know who I am. I'm coming here with this voter's ID. Why do I need to have this and this? There may be a valid sort of explanation for that. We might be able to understand the justification for it. We might be able to understand his perspective. But if we're arguing about, nothingness, does that improve the process? But if also we're unwilling to change, the nothingness, then it only becomes something of importance that may serve as an impediment. And some of us don't need any excuse not to go to church. Oh, my hair don't look good today. I don't know if my shoes are polished. I don't have anything to wear. Oh, the last time I went, you know what they said? All those things might be true. But the scripture says, do not forsake the assembly yourself. You don't deny that fellowship in order to ensure that your spiritual growth is improved. Well, we're only doing ourselves a disservice. And how much of that are we doing in our society when it comes to other things? We talk about the red tape and the bureaucracy sometimes to get something approved, whether it's a planning application or a business license, whether it's, you're waiting for something to come true and there is a process. Well, are we willing to only castigate the public sector? What about the private sector? You've applied for a finance, some financing to purchase something, and in your mind you meet the requisite qualifications, but there's a delay. A day might be too long for you, or you might have been waiting a month and there's no response. And we might say, well, it's a private sector entity, so therefore they're justified in telling you yes or no, or taking their sweet time. Well, should it be? And should there be legislation that says, well, if you buy a particular food item, that if it's not served to you in a way that is fit for human consumption, that entity selling that could be sanctioned? Should there also be legislation that says, well, if you advertise something for $1 and the person comes and pays you $1 and you say, no, that's actually $10, it was a misprint, do you have to honor that? Some would say yes, some would say no. But in the absence of trying to, not just enact legislation or enforce it, maybe we need to have personal and societal, ethos that says honor and integrity rules the day. It's not about what you signed. For some people, their word is more important than what that written contract is. I'll give us an example. A fellow once, would have shared with us that there was an agreement And in the agreement, if the person did this, this would be, the sort of the contractual penalty. End of the day, that happened. Lawyers for both sides acknowledged that this would be, the money that would be paid over because the person, quote unquote, broke the contract. It is said that the guy said, yes, that's the case, but guess what? You know what? Despite what is written there, his personal, integrity wouldn't allow him to take that as liquidated damages, I think is the legal term. So you can, just agree to call it quits, keep your money, and, be on your merry way. Many people would see that as a windfall to just take that money because contractually, it's yours. Others would chastise the person for walking away from it, but some may see the integrity in that person and understanding that at the end of the day, it wasn't about the money, it wasn't about making a point, it was simply about appreciating that things happen. Sometimes people, for whatever reason, maybe ego, that allowed them not to see that they were a bit of folly in what they were pursuing, or it was just, a greater sense of compassion. And that leads to that person being more heavily respected. Always depends on your perspective. So 949-8037, 949-6990. WhatsApp call 925-3261. And of course, you can use the Flow toll-free line if you choose 1-800-534-8255. In the break, a quick message from one of our listeners, and referring to what I shared, where in the paper, there were these 10 items, and in and of themselves, they're probably, important things. But the person also referenced, well, there are other things that are important, cost of living, the notion of, not just the housing for, by implication, for renting, which by this listener's sort of, judgment may apply to those on work permit. But what about the rest of us? But at the end of the day, are these just points to be considered, or are they points to influence the political direction? And if so, is it, as he says he's experienced in other jurisdictions, where we expect through the particular media outlets leaning in one direction, and if you want to get another perspective, you look at a different, media outlet, and there's nothing that is objectively impartial. You just subscribe to the one that you want because it speaks to that thing you want to hear. Now, is that where we are? Well, maybe, maybe not. 949-8037, 949-6990, 1-800-534-TALK, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp call 925-3261 and send your thoughts to us. I want to share this message from one of our listeners who, if I gotten the response that we were anticipating, might be able to have the two sent together. And it's following on in a discussion earlier about education and the like, and the need for students returning to be able to have the opportunity for employment. But let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling. Yeah, hello? All right. 949-8037, 949-6990. And let's use the WhatsApp call if you so choose, 925-3261. So, in a recent discussion on air, it was, as Ms. Teresa emphasized yesterday as well, we have returning college grads who are sharing they can't find work when they come back. We have young professionals who are finding that their opportunity for continued training or even upward mobility, whether in law or otherwise, isn't only supported but openly, hindered. There are many impediments. One of our listeners said, well, if we have to sign a bond in order to get a scholarship, should there not be a corresponding obligation on the part of government to ensure that those who have been given a government scholarship not only are required to return to the Cayman Islands to work, but there is employment for them in that arena. Now, some of us would appreciate the benefit of having our students take up a level of secondment or employment in other jurisdictions to get another perspective, to get added experience. Firms, and accounting in particular in the early days would do just that for their staff. They would send them to offices, overseas. What was then PricewaterhouseCoopers. We know that Ernst & Young then, as they are now EY, did it in particular. We've seen examples of the law firms doing something similar, giving their staff opportunities to gain experience in other jurisdictions. That may be something that would benefit not only that individual in that particular organization, but the country as well. But to the caller who wrote and suggested that government should ensure that it knows who is returning, when they're returning, what their qualifications would be, but there's also an employment opportunity, not just perhaps within the public sector, but maybe find a way that that person could be placed as well within, the country. Would it reduce the need for another work permit? Well, maybe it'll complement it. Who knows? So 949-8037, 949-6990. We can use the WhatsApp to send a voice note or a message, or you can call 925-3261. And we were and still are expecting the excellent company of Mr. Howell, and his team is trying to facilitate that. But I will share with you that him and his team are phenomenally busy. He was on the Business Buzz early this morning with Kathy, and as much as I know he honors his time and commitments, we are very, very understanding of the obligations. So we'll see how that materializes, but we invite you to call and share your thoughts, man. I mean, if you can't speak now, when are you going to do that? If you can't speak here, well, this is Radio Cayman. This is, of course, where you can, because you're invited and welcome and wanted. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Be part of the 2025 Chamber Economic Forum on Friday, 17th of January at the Kimpton Seafire. Join world-renowned economists Marla Ducarin, government leaders, and business experts as we explore the future of Cayman's economy. From workforce innovation to tourism sustainability, this is where bold ideas turn into action. Celebrate progress and 60 years of the Chamber's leadership and service to our community. Sponsored by CUC, DART, Health City Cayman Islands, and the Ministry of Tourism and Ports. Register now at caymanchamber.ky. Don't miss it.
Positive Parenting Program starts January 13th at 12 to 1 p.m. on Zoom for 10 weeks. It is a program following the evidence-based Triple P curriculum for parents and caregivers of children 12 years or under who want to feel confident in their parenting choices in all environments, raise confident children, and enjoy parenting. Contact Family Resource Center at frc@gov.ky to reserve your spot for this free program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you for joining us as we go to the phones. Welcome, thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, sir. My apologies. I called from the elections office. I had myself double booked this afternoon.
I know very much, sir, Mr. West, and we, for those who listen, this is Wesley Howard in his capacity as the supervisor of elections, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we know you were, and hopefully we were respectful in saying to the public that you're a man who honors your commitments, respects time. But unfortunately, sometimes, as much as you try, it's a challenge to be in more than one place, right? At the same time.
Absolutely.
Well, I must share that you was great listening, as always, to you and you and Kathy this morning on the buzz. So directing people to maybe go and listen to that, at least that part of it. So, but thanks again for your time, sir.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. Wanted to share with the listening audience that we are coming down to the last few days of voter registration, the last registration period before the general election. So if persons are interested in registering, they need to get it done as soon as possible. And for those persons who have changed their address, their occupation, or their name, we also have the forms out and going for that as well, that they can update that information on the register.
We want you to share as much, repeat as often as you wish. I mean, but in taking the last thing, let's say someone is on the electoral register now, but has moved, and as a consequence of that move in residence, they're now legally and technically living in another area where they would and should be registered to vote. Can that person, even though they're qualified, they're on the list, but they were in East End and now they're living in Cameron, just for argument's sake, or West Bay, or if that person is challenged by somebody and say, no, you don't live here anymore, you can't vote, you, can that person then be, I'll use the word, denied on election day to cast a ballot?
So part of the process with the voter registration bit is that once the deadline is passed, we have a few days that we put together all of the entries, we check our work, and then we publish what's called a revised list. That list now is out for public scrutiny for 21 days. Persons registered in an electoral district can challenge, so they put in an objection, which is the legal term, to say, I object this person being on this list in this location because I believe they're disqualified from doing so for whatever reason. So it could be that your neighbors know that you no longer live next to them, so that you're now in a different electoral district, and they can object to that. The registering officers from the districts can also object as well, and those objections are then published. Persons who have objections against them are given written notice of that, and then they have an opportunity to come and defend their position before the revising officer, who is the chief magistrate. Now, should she rule to uphold the objection, that person would likely then be removed from the register. They may have an opportunity to register to move to a different one at that time, but they could actually end up not being registered at all. So that objection would mean that they would come off the register and would lose their ability to vote at all. Yeah.
Okay. You use the word may have an opportunity to get registered again. Is how I interpret it. Is that correct? May have an opportunity to get registered.
Well, I've seen it go multiple ways over the years. In that individuals who have successfully made an argument to say, well, if I can't be at that old address, can you at least move me to the new address during this hearing? And if that's allowed, then we could do that change there.
What would what would determine, because that word may leads me to think there's some discretion, but what would determine whether that may be allowed?
So in the case that I saw it happen,
Yeah.
was an individual whose primary house was destroyed by fire.
Okay.
They were living in another district at a different address, but they were starting the rebuilding process of their original house.
Yeah.
They wanted to remain registered at that original house, and the revising officer at the time agreed with them and allowed that to happen. So
understandable.
Yeah. So, like I say, maybe because folks are presenting evidence on both sides,
Mhm.
and then the revising officer makes a ruling. Yeah.
So what about this example? I don't want to belabor it, but I know that a lot of us sometimes don't appreciate it. So someone now lives in electoral district 1, and I'm not giving it his name, has consciously sold, rented, or otherwise left that property and is in electoral district 4, right? It's been there for a week, a month, a year, however long. Last election voted in 1. This election is living and should potentially probably be voting in 4, and is challenged. House isn't under repair, perhaps rented, perhaps house is sold. That person may potentially, if challenged, be removed from the voters list.
Absolutely.
Okay. And
so, in addition to the objection process, there's also a claims process.
Mhm.
So, if you were refused registration for any reason, or you think you were removed, and you want to challenge that, then you file a claim for your actions as well. So, the claims process is also there for that to happen.
Right. And I want to make sure I use the word correct. So the returning officer, was it, or the registering officer could also challenge?
Registering officer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a returning officer and there's a registering officer. So there's a difference. Is it important for us to understand the distinction?
Absolutely. So the returning officer is the individual who the governor issued the writ to back in December.
Mhm.
They are the persons that will conduct the actual election in each of the 19 electoral districts. So there are 19 returning officers.
Right.
The registering officers are actually with us all the time, because whether or not there is an election, we keep the register of electors current, and they publish a register every 4 months.
Okay.
Even in what I call the off season. So those registering officers are aligned with our traditional districts. So there's one that covers the 4 electoral districts within West Bay, another that covers the Georgetown electoral districts, one in Northside, one in East End, and one covers Cayman Brac. So,
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
And that registering officer may look at a name and go, but wait a minute, because they're aligned with, as you said, with the district, probably knows a fair bit of the people there, and says, well, this person has moved, or whichever.
Yeah.
And could now is it a requirement that a registering officer bring that to the attention, or can, if he or she so chooses?
If they are aware, it's their obligation to do so. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And to some people listening, might go, well, that's unfair. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to emphasize how potentially, whether you have been inadvertent as a registered voter or thinking it's no big deal, you could, as a consequence, on election day, not be able to vote because now you're no longer eligible because you have moved from one place to the next.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would encourage everybody who is already registered, folks who have submitted recent documents, please check the revised list once it's published towards the end of this month, and alive for that 21 days to ensure that their information is, 1, on there, and 2, that it's correct.
Okay. I think it was that Form 30. It was some form that you guys got, right? That'd be
Form 4 for registration, Form 13 for changes to name, address, or occupation.
Right.
And then we also have forms, formal documents for filing a claim and filing an objection.
Okay. So Form 13, those changes for names, I think, address, and location. Other than location, a person has changed sort of occupation. They were working as a lawyer, now they're an accountant. I don't know. Is that material?
It is not, but it should be updated, because one of the things that happens is when you enter the polling station, your name, your address, and your occupation are called out. So
right.
Some people may have registered at the time they were a student in university, and now they're a partner in a law firm.
Okay.
They'll come in and they say, here is Sterling. He's from XYZ address and occupation is a student. They'd be like, yeah, you're no longer a student.
Yeah.
But that would not bar someone from being able to vote.
Okay. What about name? For whatever reason, someone's changed the name. Maybe it's marriage, whatever. Is that material? And if it is, in what capacity?
Again, that should be done within sort of that 3-month window of the name change happening. And for name change purposes, we would need copies of the legal document that instituted that change. So either a marriage license or a deed poll or something of that sort. Yeah.
And if a person has not done that, and I don't want other people to, think ill of me, but if they can help me to get it and say it better for future reference to do it. But let's assume that we labor under the old days where a lady got married and she decided to change her name. And she's no longer Ebanks, but she's Ebanks Borden, or she's now Borden.
Yeah.
And she comes in and everything is correct, but she's now, married and everybody knows, but she's no longer, Jean Ebanks, now she's Jean Borden. Would that preclude or exclude her from voting on that day?
No, again, if she's on the register, then that could happen. If she has ID that has changed name, or more so in the old name, then walking with a copy of that marriage certificate would then sort of
should be okay.
Those connections, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
To avoid all of that, the windows to change all that stuff closes on Wednesday at 11:59 p.m.
Yeah, I know some people going, well, come on, man, those are simple questions. But we know some people may be delayed, or they may be a little bit, feel away because of these things happening, right? So, bottom line is,
came on time.
and I have a different view. Well, my dad say came on time, boy. If you arrive on time, you're late, so you better be there early.
Exactly.
All right, so 4-on-4 to get registered, 13 for those changes in name, address, and location, and all those things, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, in that respect, I think we may have a caller joining us, and I know the good team behind the scenes are able to make the technology work seamlessly. So we're gonna try to do that, Mr. West. We're speaking to Wesley Howell, the supervisor of elections. Bring this caller into the question, and well, let's see what happens. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sterling.
Hi. Yes, sir. You're most welcome.
Yes. We've heard a lot about the registration and the need to be registered, and in terms of the voters playing their part. But I'm wondering, there's a scenario on election day, what mechanisms are in place for the supervisor and his team to deal with complaints, let's say, from a candidate or a candidate representative within the polling station?
Okay, I may add to that, but Mr. Howell, sir, were you able to hear that question?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the recommendations that the international observers made, I believe it was the last time, is that we should have a more formal process for dealing with complaints. And we've taken that on board. So we're about to introduce on our website a complaints process where individuals can file a complaint. We will formally acknowledge that request and then deal with it from there. And complaints, span a whole range of issues, from sort of minor nuisances to matters that could end up going to court as a breach of the Elections Act or some other criminal action. So that process is there. The way that our elections work is that we call it a general election, but in fact what we have are 19 individual elections, each with their own specific ballot paper. Each being managed by a returning officer. So that process, in terms of filing complaints on that particular day, we'll have a command center that's running, so complaints can come to that. But each of the 19 locations has a returning officer who is responsible for the general election in that particular electoral district. So that can go, complaints can also go directly to them, particularly if it's something that they can intervene in quite quickly. We have a team of police officers who are assigned to us that we can dispatch if there's evidence that needs to be gathered. Police officers are on site at each of the electoral districts. But if it comes to sort of operational matters that are not at the level that requires the police intervention, then our teams would deal with that through that process.
Mm. Is there a follow-up, sir, that you wish to ask?
Yeah, just based on my experience, I've seen situations where candidate reps make complaint, and I think whatever solution mechanism are in place presently, it should include at least the returning officer getting back to whoever makes a complaint to let them know that one, it was looked at, and two, what the resolution, whatever decision the returning officer feels fit to employ, to just to inform the person who made the complaint that the complaint were registered and taken seriously. Because I get a feeling that when somebody complained that it's all to avoid it, just to maintain the normalcy, to make it look like everything is normal rather than to address the issue and to satisfy the concern of the person making the complaint. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Howell?
Yeah, no, totally get that. Now, like I said, we are introducing that formal process which would have the complaints logged with a response. We can't always resolve complaints. Some people complain about things that are fully legal for individuals to do, even if we try to discourage some of those actions. But where we can deal with those complaints and we have the power and authority to do a resolution, then yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. And if matters are then referred on to other agencies for investigations, when we do that, we will inform the complainant as well. So that's something that we're definitely implementing for this upcoming general election.
Okay, we do have
brilliant question.
No, this is where our voters are engaged and informed. We do have the news break, Mr. Howard. Do you have a desire to stay on for a little bit longer, or you have to get back to you?
I'm happy to stay on and at your disposal.
Yes, sir.
As I stood you up earlier.
No. We are most grateful to your time. Hopefully our listeners appreciate that as much as we were anticipating and expecting. You will be no respectfully that much demand on your time. So thanks for hanging on. We'll take the news. When we come back, we'll ask about some of the things that potentially could be objected to, both in the process of campaigning and or especially in particular on elections day in the polling area. Could we talk about that? All right, let's pause. When we come back, we'll talk today.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Bright. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
The minority government has published another bill, this time to tackle sexual harassment. The Anti-Sexual Harassment Bill, sponsored by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage, covers the prevention of sexual harassment and sets up the mechanisms for complaints. You can find the full bill online at gov.ky. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Paris Hilton, Billy Crystal and Adam Brody are among the celebrities who have lost homes in the deadly wildfires raging in the Los Angeles area. More than 1,000 structures have been destroyed as 6 separate blazes burn in and around the city, which is dotted with film stars' mansions. Some of the worst devastation was in the scenic enclave of Pacific Palisades, where a wind-whipped inferno exploded from several hundred acres to more than 15,000 in size since Tuesday. And the Prince of Wales has wished his wife, Catherine, a happy birthday as she turns 43. William wrote in a message posted on social media, "To the most incredible wife and mother, the strength you've shown over the last year has been remarkable. George, Charlotte, Louis, and I are so proud of you. Happy birthday, Catherine. We love you. W." The princess has returned to royal duties after having preventative chemotherapy treatment as a result of being diagnosed with cancer last year. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
You can now renew your driver's license or motor vehicle license online, and you don't need an ESID number. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman Talk Today continues.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Wesley Howell, the Supervisor of Elections, for joining us. Thank you, sir. And again, we do appreciate your time and respect, that you have other commitments. So, I'm told we have a caller. Okay, we'll take that call and then we'll come back and ask about potential, avenues for objection and what could be, causes for objections. But let's take this call as we welcome the caller to be a part of our discussion. Hello?
Yeah, thank you, Solon. I was just wondering if the supervisor has any plan to introduce any any use of electronic devices for the process. And I'm aware that there are a lot of bad actors worldwide who take pleasure in interfering in other people's election. Just wondering, even for a simple thing as the website for the electoral process, what safeguard mechanism are in place, and if anything else would be needed to safeguard that aspect of it.
Mr. Holzer?
Another really good question again. So from an electronics perspective, we don't use electronic ballots or electronic counting machines here in the Cayman Islands, and countries that introduce those devices, they do that because they want to have their results announced within an acceptable period of time. With the introduction of deputy returning officers who are able to count simultaneously along with the returning officer, we have been able to deliver elections results in the last election well before midnight, with most results coming in 10:30, quarter to 11, if memory serves me right, about 4 years ago. So from that perspective, the plus of using electronic means to get faster results has been sort of mitigated by the fact that we can have multiple people counting with multiple agents reviewing and still have those results out relatively earlier. The Elections Office website, as we have it now, we have a number of security things around that. Other than the submission of applications, none of the websites are actually transactional. The copy of the voters list that is searchable on the website is only a copy. It doesn't contain the information that's submitted to our office. That's in a different system that is not accessible to the outside and is managed by computer services on our behalf. So yeah, we from a voting perspective, it's a very transparent, paper-based system where individuals come in, they make themselves known, they show their ID, they're presented with a ballot, a hard copy ballot, which they go into the booth, they mark, they come back, the ballot's dropped into the box. The box stays in clear view of all the agents during the course of the day. So the persons in that room will see the box open and empty. We would then seal the box in their presence. They're then able to stay with the box all the way through until the box is open, the seals are broken, and the ballots are counted. And at the end of the day, the number of ballots counted should equal the number of ballots cast, and the results are announced. So that's our process. So it's very robust, and no room for the shenanigans of any electronic gremlins in that process, because it's all manual at that point.
Okay, with that though, if I made an ask with respect to, again, the safety and the sort of the security of the ballots and the like, but within the polling station, is that the correct term for it? So when the person, the elector, that registered voter comes in, is duly recognized, recorded, and say, yep, this is who he or she says and is eligible to vote and will be voting. The people there, from the election staff to the agents of the candidates, under what are some of the grounds under which they can object to this person? You referenced, okay, this person isn't, but just if you wouldn't expound a little bit further, and we want to follow up with one particular question.
Yeah, so objections on the day, and then going back in history now, is an individual comes in and says, I'm here to vote. Someone has voted in that person's name already, which is not that person, and we'll know that from their ID. That's a claim that they can make at that point, at which time the returning officer would step in. If it's a legitimate case that indeed has happened, then the individual could be dealt with through our processes as such. Agents of candidates in the room could voice an objection to a particular happening in there as it relates to the polling station. The presiding officer is in charge. They can also liaise with the returning officer and the elections office command center during that period of time. But I can say, based on my years of service at basically all levels in the elections office, or procedure at the polls or conduct at the polls has always been very respectful, very, very methodical, and folks come in, cast their votes, and they're on about the rest of the day. Usually people are in and out within sort of 10-15 minutes from arrival to departure. Don't expect that to be much different. Our teams are being trained. We've been training returning officers now starting in December of last year, and we'll start training the polling staff in another 2 weeks, and that will continue up until sort of early April. So they'll be well trained, ready to go. We'll act out scenarios and all sorts of things, so we know what's going on. But okay. That's our mechanisms there.
Thanks. Caller, sir, is there something else you want to maybe add? Okay, caller's gone, I'm told. As a follow-up to that, Mr. Howell, we have understood, has been alleged over the years in ensuing elections or in intervening elections, that there have been times when, after the fact, people who were present alleged, I guess would be the best way to term it, that a voter may appear to have had consumed something that intoxicated, whether it was alcohol or another drug. Is that a grounds for objection if a person comes in what looks to be intoxicated, drunk, high, whatever word we want to use? What impact, if any, would that have?
So the way that we operate and the decisions that the courts have taken, and as part of our work, we also reviewed cases that have gone to court throughout the Commonwealth, and what the court sort of rulings are. We do everything in our power to ensure that people have the ability to exercise their democratic right on that day. As it relates to individuals who, for example, have some disabilities. By experience, we know that some people have some good days and they have some not so good days. So in the past, for example, we've done mobile voting on request, and we've gone to someone who is having a really bad day on that day, and they're not able to mark the ballot on that particular day when we do the mobile voting. Now, as long as they don't vote during mobile voting, even though they requested it, if they're not able to vote, then they still have an opportunity to come out on election day. And we have, sort of wheelchairs set up and those sorts of things.
Okay.
I actually missed our early appointment because I was inspecting some locations for polling stations in West Bay when 1 o'clock rolled around. So I was on the other side of town.
Okay.
But we're ensuring that all of our locations have adequate area that wheelchairs can navigate,
Right.
and persons with disabilities can navigate. So they can also come out on that day, and if they're able to vote, then they could. So if someone is intoxicated but is at the level that they're still able to conduct their business, as long as they're not being disruptive or
belligerent is the word, huh?
unlawful way, they can go ahead and do their business. That's up to them.
Right.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you about that.
It is a dry day, so the bars are not open, liquor stores are not open until after the polls close at 6 o'clock. So
6:01 p.m. they can open.
They can open. So,
Okay.
But individuals might have their stash at home. My recommendation is don't partake in that liquid courage until after you've done your business.
I want to maybe ask a little bit more about that for some reason, but if I may, to you publicly, I want to say your team have been communicating with us. We knew, sort of like tracking Santa Claus, right? That you were out and about, and they were fantastic to let us know that, and apologize, and that you were doing official business. So again, it just speaks to the respect that I think you and your team has for your elections process, but the sort of resourcefulness and the respect that we have for the whole process. So they were mindful, and we were hopeful and respectful in saying to our listeners, hey, he'll be here if he can. If he isn't, know he's doing something more important. So that was more important. Let me go back to what you referenced earlier with the mobile voting. So your team has gone to this individual on that day as part of the mobile voting process. If you can maybe repeat what I thought you said, not having the best of days and is not at that point in time able or willing to cast the ballot in the way that the person would want. Is there a physical ballot that is given to the person, and in the process of so casting it, we determine that they're not able to, or is it then we assess it first before we give the ballot? Tell us how that unfolds.
So there is no voting by proxy in the Cayman Islands. So you can't have someone that you delegate your vote to, and they can vote on your behalf. So the individual who is named on the postal, on the mobile voting application, the voter themselves, they actually either have to mark the ballot themselves, or they have to instruct the presiding officer to mark it on their behalf. When that happens, they can elect to have a friend witness that process to ensure that the ballot is marked as they have instructed. But if that person is unable to mark or at that point unable to communicate, then we would not be able to poll them at that particular time. So they could then, we'll give that a couple of tries. Usually the returning officer will assist in that as well, just to have a consensus on the fact that, this person really is unable to exercise their right of vote at this particular time. And if that's the mobile voting, which happens the week before the general election, then they effectively can have a second shot at casting that vote on election day in person. At that time, mobile voting would have closed, and the only option they would have then is to come out and vote in person.
Okay. And if at that, again, not to belabor it, but I'm looking at, hopefully you'll guide me, what would be akin to sort of a spoiled ballot. If the person on elections day in person at that time tries to cast a vote for whatever reason, decides, no, this is not what I want, that's considered a spoiled ballot, right? And will be issued, or can be, or will be issued a second ballot, and then is that what happens on that day?
Yeah, a second and a third, and if they spoil a third ballot, then they're offered assistance.
Okay, great.
That's the requirement, so you can't go on spoiling ballots.
Right. And because sometimes we're nervous, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
So on the mobile voting, if on that day that person, for whatever reason, given a ballot, that would then be considered a spoiled ballot likewise, and then if on elections...
No, it would just be listed as not voted.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. And from a ballot perspective, I mean, we've made some changes over the years that made it much more easy and for folks to vote with dignity, even if they're unable to read, because we have photos of the candidates that are included in the ballot in full color, where candidates are aligned with a particular political party. We include the logo of that party along with the name and the photo. The candidates are numbered in accordance with alphabetical order on the ballot paper. So individuals might remember the number. If they can read the name, then good. If they can recognize the person by face, they can then vote. Or if they just want to vote along party lines and vote for the party logo, the person that matches the party logo, then that can be done as well. So those are the options in relation to making it easier for individuals to mark the ballot as they intend to. For the person they intend to vote for.
Great. And we'll ask about that, but then let's revisit for audit purposes only, and only if that's necessary. We want to ask this before we take the break. Whether at mobile voting and being recorded as not voted, or on elections day voting in person, where a ballot has been spoiled, how is that process accounted so that at the end of the day we know we had X voters attend, X ballots given, when we do the tally, there's no discrepancy?
No, absolutely. So the during the postal ballot aspect, we invite agents to come out to every time we issue a ballot paper, and they're provided with a list of the persons who received ballot papers. So that's a transparent process so that individuals can't vote twice, having requested a postal ballot and then show up at the polls. Similarly for mobile voting, for those persons who requested and voted mobile, we would indicate that that's been done. The agents that are going around with the mobile voting team will check off their list as well. And then on election day, we provide lists to the agents of the persons who are, based on name, set down to vote in each of the specific polling stations. And as they vote, that is checked off as well. So whenever a ballot is issued and if that ballot is spoiled, then we would make it known to the agents in the room that this individual has spoiled a ballot. We're reissuing them with a ballot, and the spoiled ballot is then placed in a specific envelope for that purpose, which is sealed up at the end of the day and is kept for safekeeping. But a spoiled ballot, unless the person doesn't tell us that they've spoiled a ballot, doesn't go into the box. So individuals might go in and, for example, write their name on a ballot paper, which is grounds for rejecting the ballot paper. You can spoil it by doing that. If they do that, they seal it up. We don't look at the ballot papers when they marked it, and they drop it in the box. And when it comes time to open and count that box, then that would show up as a spoiled ballot. But I can say I looked at the numbers again recently of spoiled ballots during the last election, and I can count them on one hand with an electoral district. Very, very low spoiled ballots. So our people know what they need to do. The process is simple and straightforward, and they do their bit. And then once the polling is closed and we start counting, then we do our bit.
Right. Mr. Howell, we got the final break. We would invite you, if you so choose, when we return, if you want to, any particular points you want to emphasize. But if you need to get back to what we think, as important as this is, that's perhaps more important. Your choice, sir.
Sure. I'm happy to give a last couple of thoughts on the voting registration deadline, and maybe come back. So
yes, sir. Thank you for that. To listeners, quick short break. Join us right after.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks again to the fantastic team over the elections office and his. He wouldn't want to say the mean man, but Mr. Wesley Howard, supervisor. Hey, so much remember you, playing football, so it was good then as you are now. So thanks, man. All right.
No,
Yep.
Thanks again for the opportunity to come on. Before we close, I just wanted to cover the fact that we're now just sort of 6 days away from the close of voter registration, the last one that happens before the general election. Wanted to take an opportunity to remind young people in particular that if they're turning 18 on or before April 30th, so they're not yet 18 and they won't be 18 by Wednesday coming, the 15th of January, but they will be 18 on or before the 30th of April, election day. You can register now, and now is the only opportunity that you have. You can't wait on a birthday on April 1st to register. You have to do it now if you want to participate in the general election. And also, if it is indeed the case where the referendum bill, which is out for public consultation, passes in Parliament this month, and the referendum is held on April 30th as well. If you're not registered by the 15th of January, then there's no way that you can vote in the referendum if it happens in April. So this is the last hurrah, as they would say, for persons to register, to change their information, to update their addresses and so forth. And I really encourage them to take advantage of that. Our office is open 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Through Friday of this week. We're open 10 till 5 on Saturday. And then from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we go back to 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can submit your application online on elections.ky. You can also download the form and send in your supporting documents as well to our email address, office@elections.ky. And if you have all your other documents except for your birth certificate, we are working in conjunction with the General Registry Department to be able to request birth certificates on behalf of individuals who submitted their documents and indicated that they don't have those bits for their application to be fully complete.
Thanks. And just to emphasize, the birth certificates that you reference, that is for the person getting registered to vote but also, if necessary, for the person's parents, if they don't have it.
So if you're born after 1977 in the Cayman Islands, you're not Caymanian by virtue of just simply being born. You have to have a parental or connection to Cayman. So if you don't have an acknowledgement letter and you don't have a status certificate, then you would need to then provide birth certificates of you and your Caymanian parent to show that connection back to assure us then that you are Caymanian and therefore eligible to register to vote.
Okay. And that Caymanian parent, so let's say the child is born after 77, one or both parents are Caymanian. Do they need to show both or just the one that is?
The one that is, if the parent is a father, then the marriage certificate, and the mother is not Cayman, it gets a little bit more difficult. Then you need a marriage certificate at that point, or DNA test and all those other things. But what we've been seeing is that a lot of the younger people, sort of 18 to 24, who have applied for a government scholarship or going into public school, have already applied for and have their acknowledgement letter. So that will suffice, and we can go from there.
Okay, but the parents and mother is a little bit easier. The parents or father, there's some other support and documentation.
Get those, and if anything is missing at that point, the registering officers will intervene and contact the individual.
Okay.
But for sure, if you don't have the birth certificates and that's the last piece of document that you need, go ahead and submit your application anyway, and we can then, if you were born in Cayman, we can request that for you. If you weren't born in Cayman, then that would be a bit more difficult because we can't quite get those documents.
But you can get it in and then get the support documentation once you do it by the 15th of this month.
Yeah.
Okay.
The birth certificates for sure.
The birth, information. Okay. Well, I certainly know that I've not, more been reminded of what I thought I knew. You and your team do a great job. So thanks very much, Mr. Howell.
No, thank you.
All right. And we are grateful that we live in a country where the democracy is healthy, because as Mr. Howell, in his capacity as supervisor of elections, has repeatedly shared, we go to the polls in a safe way. Free and fair elections. Much that is said in the campaign trail, but I can attest and I trust and pray it stays that way forever. That when we go to the polls, we're civil, we're informed, we're excited to do it, but we do so respectfully and responsibly, and we cast our ballots, we come away and we celebrate. And, whether the outcome is the one that we wanted, we are, for the most part, and in the ensuing days afterwards, at least looking at it and go, wow, that transpired seamlessly. To those who are eligible, please, get registered to vote. The 15th is not that far from today. The process is easy. You can do it in person, do it on elections.ky. Tomorrow's show, we are expecting the excellent company, Mr. Philip Richter. We'll talk about the political process and getting voters registered and encouraged to do so. Please join Mr. Art in the morning for the record. And if you have a voice, exercise it, but do so respectfully and responsibly, and don't be afraid to champion that thing that you believe is important, even if it's only you singing. It doesn't have to be a choir song. It can be, as it is, a solo. But at the end of the day, it needs to be done from an informed perspective, one that encourages and nurtures, not maligns, nor is malicious. Some people find it so much easier to complain. Others try to always be constructive. Probably the better way to be positive. Doesn't mean that there are not negative things that you wished you didn't have to. But recognize that there are many of us who on a daily basis go forward publicly, from the preacher, the pastor to the politician, with much burdens to bear, but they do so with love and respect and honor and integrity in an attempt to not cause any grief to others. We don't know what they feel, we don't know what they fear, but at the end of the day, hopefully there's a sense of respect. It's a loving, wonderful place, but it only gets better if we do our utmost. So let's be the best that we can. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.